Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles. Quick disclaimer before we go any further, do not panic. I am not about to start getting all political on you. What I'm about to say is actually game related, which is kind of depressing. Or perhaps not, depending on your perspective. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably noticed over the last week that Iran and Israel are getting increasingly upset with each other again. Israel's been dropping bombs on Iran, Iran's been firing missiles at Israel. Of course, Iran's been shooting at the Israeli jets, dropping bombs on them, because why wouldn't you? And they've been claiming the shoot-downs of several Israeli jets, as well as the capture of several, or at least one, Israeli pilot. And Iran has even provided video footage to prove their claims, which Israel, of course, strenuously denies. So the clip that you're about to see first appeared on the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps affiliated Tasnim news agency before rapidly spreading on messaging apps like Telegram and finding its way on social media. You ready? Here we go. Now, this is one of the social media reposts on Twitter, so you can probably forgive the atrocious spelling of Israeli in the headline, but I'd like to read the headline to you. Terror in the skies over Israel as Iranians fire at Israeli defence jets. Now, the question uppermost in my mind, and there are several of them, but the first one is, what are Iranians doing in Israel shooting at Israeli jets, even though it's actually a Russian jet flying over what looked like an M109 Paladin and being shot out by an Iranian Phalanx close-in weapon system? America sells those to Iran now, does it? This, of course, is a clip from Arma 3. Now, I obviously cannot prove one way or another whether or not the Iranian Tasnim news agency was aware that this clip was from a game and therefore obviously fake when they claimed it showed evidence of Israeli jets being shot down. It's not like I'm some kind of military intelligence analyst or anything, and it certainly would not be the first time a major news agency had been fooled by a fake clip originating from a video game like Arma 3 or War Thunder or DCS World, thinking that it was actual combat video footage. However, while it is probably fairly easy to fool a journalist, because let's face it, most of them wouldn't be able to tell the difference between an F-15 and a MiG-29, what's happened in this case is the opposite. The clip first originated with an official news agency and then spread onto social media. So, yeah, I'm going to say this is official disinformation. Disinformation, by the way, is a fancy government way of saying bullshit. It's not alone, though. Now, I'm not sure of the exact source of the next clip that I'm about to show you. Based on the text overlay that you're going to see, it certainly appears to have come from an, I can't tell the difference, Arabic or Persian source. But again, this is a repost on social media. Again, it's Twitter. And for those of you who don't speak what appears to be Portuguese, on the header, allow me to provide a translation. The moment when the advanced Israeli F-35 fighter jet was intercepted and destroyed by the defense systems of the Islamic Republic of Iran Army. You can see the F-35 in the overlay text. But what you can't see is an F-35 on the screen, because unless I'm seriously mistaken, well, that was an F-18. Israel does have F-35s. In fact, I'd be astounded if they hadn't used them to bomb Iran over the last week. As well as their F-35Cs, they've also bought in the past F-16s and F-15s from the USA, but you know what they've never bought? F-18s. And in any case, the video wasn't even claiming it was an F-18. It was claiming it was an F-35, which it wasn't. And also, that's War Thunder. Meanwhile, Bohemia Interactive, the developers of Arma 3, have seen this thing happening so often that, rather depressingly, they've now had to post a checklist to help you spot fake footage. Number 1. Very low resolution. Despite the fact that these days, and for quite some time now, even obsolete smartphones have the ability to record footage in HD quality, all of these clips that you see on social media for some reason appear to be recorded in 480p. That's because fake videos are usually of a much lower quality and intentionally pixelated and blurry to hide the fact that they're taken from a video game. To add dramatic effect, they're often not captured in-game. Authors film a computer screen with the game running in low quality so they can add exaggerated camera shake. These clips often take place in the dark or at night, in order to hide the video game scene's insufficient level of detail. They're mostly without sound, because in-game sound effects are often very distinguishable from reality. They usually don't feature people in motion, because while the game can simulate the movement of military vehicles very realistically, capturing natural-looking humans in motion is still very difficult even for the most modern of games. Sometimes you'll see heads-up display elements visible. The game's user interface, like weapon selection, ammunition counters, vehicle status, in-game messages, etc. are visible. These commonly appear at the edges or in the corners of the footage. You might see unnatural particle effects. I mean, even the most modern games have a problem with naturally depicting explosions, smoke, fire and dust, as well as how they're affected by environmental conditions. Look for oddly separated cloudlets in particular. They might have unrealistic vehicles, uniforms or equipment. People with advanced, or it doesn't even have to be that advanced, military equipment knowledge can recognise the use of unrealistic military assets for a given conflict. For instance, in one widely spread fake video, the US Air Defence System C-RAM shoots down a US A-10 ground attack plane. Units can also display non-authentic insignias and camouflage, etc., or claim to show the shoot down of an F-35 when it's actually an F-18, or, more hilariously, I mean, just count the sheer number of red flags in this one. And remember, this one absolutely 100% originated from an official Iranian source, show Iranian air defense units who for some reason are actually in Israel using American air defense equipment, which apparently has unlimited ammunition, shooting at and eventually shooting down an Israeli pilot flying a MiG-29. Remember, kids, educate yourselves. It's not hard. We haven't had an Ubisoft moment in a while, have we? Well, we're having one this week. So you may be aware that Ubisoft have been threatening a remake of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time for, well, quite some time now. So just to recap the torturous development process of this threatened remake, the game was originally supposed to be out in January 2021, but then it was delayed by a couple of months because, well, 2020 was pretty rough. So yeah, okay, that's fair enough. But it's also a reminder of exactly how long this whole thing has been dragging on. There was another delay, which followed without a new release date, which is rarely a good sign, and then another delay, and eventually it got to the point where Ubisoft, rather than saying when it was going to be out, would simply reduce to promising that they hadn't actually cancelled the whole thing. The whole thing's been through multiple development studios, a whole reboot in mid-2023, a delay into 2026, an unexplained title change, and at some point you have to ask the question, why is it so hard for them to make a game that they already made 20 years ago? Well, quite some time went by with Ubisoft being effectively radio silent on any progress on the Prince of Persia remake, until June the 9th, which, funnily enough, was almost exactly 1 year to the day since the last update on Prince of Persia. The one where they dropped the remake part of the title. The official Prince of Persia account on the 9th of June 2025 posted a screenshot of some type with the words, "Something is lurking in these waters." Now, if you've been patiently waiting for any kind of news or updates on the Prince of Persia remake, you would have probably gotten pretty excited at this post. Except most of you probably wouldn't have noticed because it was deleted within a day. But a couple of people did notice. Well, it turned out that the deleted social media post that had gotten all of the Prince of Persia fans all hot and bothered was actually intended for the For Honor social media account to tease the reveal of the next season, and in fact went up with the exact same screenshot and video reveal on the For Honor account on the same day that it was taken down from the Prince of Persia account. Now, while this was obviously a simple case of somebody at Ubisoft's social media division having a really bad weekend, but that was scant consolation. All of those Prince of Persia fans have been sitting around for at least the 5 years waiting for Ubisoft to release a game that they already made 20 years ago. At this point, feeling that they were deliberately being trolled by Ubisoft, a whole bunch of them basically went berserk. It took an entire week for Ubisoft to come up with even an official acknowledgement of the error. And bearing in mind that the Prince of Persia team, basically the only thing that they've posted on social media about the game for the last 3, maybe 4 years, aside from the one announcement that they were changing the title with no explanation, is don't worry, the game hasn't actually been cancelled yet, The response could be summed up as, "Don't worry, the game hasn't actually been cancelled yet." I'm beginning to feel at this point that the only people that could possibly do a worse job of consumer relations and PR than Ubisoft would be Randy Pitchford, Gearbox Software, and their publisher 2K. At this point, I'm not even sure whether or not Gearbox's CEO, Randy Pitchford, is doing it on purpose. Because, he's either the world's biggest troll, or he really is as stupid as he sounds. Possibly both. I don't know. It's like the guy is a walking, talking outrage generator. So, if you don't know what all the latest fuss is about, I could spend the rest of this video just detailing all the different ways that Randy Pitchford manages to put his foot in his mouth every time he opens it. But the latest thing was when it was revealed that Borderlands 4... Oh, a bit of backstory here, by the way. And it's to do with how many sales Borderlands 4 is going to need in order to make a profit. Because, again, Randy Pitchford said, "I don't know how much Borderlands 4 will cost, but it had more than twice the development budget of Borderlands 3. And the reason that's important and kind of scary is that Borderlands 3 was the least successful of the Borderlands games. Borderlands 1 was the most successful game and cost the least to make. Borderlands 2 did very well, not as well as the first game, but was more expensive. And Borderlands 3 was easily the most expensive Borderlands game and made the least amount of sales. And with Borderlands 4 having twice or more the development budget of Borderlands 3, and bearing in mind that historically the success and sales of Borderlands games have trended down, that means they've put more than twice the amount of money in the Borderlands 4 pot, and they're probably going to have to make 4 times the sales of Borderlands 3 in order to not lose money on the whole thing. Which, given how the Borderlands series has performed over time, does seem increasingly unlikely, which led to concerns about how much Borderlands 4 was going to cost, particularly when the Switch 2 came out and announced that the latest Mario game was going to be sold at the $80 price point, which led to speculation that, given how much money they've already sunk into Borderlands 4 and, well, how much they can expect to sell, are they also going to be selling Borderlands 4 at the $80 price point? To which Randy Pitchford, and remember, the price of Borderlands 4 is not up to him, it's up to the publisher, 2K. He had an easy out here. All he had to do was say nothing, because he doesn't know how much Borderlands 4 is going to cost. People were speculating it was going to cost $80. He could have honestly said, "I don't know. Honestly, that's up to the publisher." But he just had to open his big mouth, didn't he? Everybody knows somebody like Randy Pitchford. Everybody knows somebody who just cannot admit that they don't know about something. Ask them a question on any subject and they'll just make up some bullshit to make themselves try to sound like an expert. Randy Pitchford is literally the Steven Seagal of the video game industry. So rather than just admitting that he didn't know and it wasn't up to him anyway, he said in an interview with Games Radar that if people were concerned that the game was going to come out and be priced at $80, I quote, "If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen." Like, if you're concerned at having to make a choice between putting food on the table and playing Borderlands 4, well, a real fan will obviously choose Borderlands 4. And the best part was, barely a couple of weeks later, 2K releases the game for pre-orders on Steam, and the base edition of the game is $70. That's still a lot of money. It's still trending upwards, but, it's not the $80 that Randy Pitchford dropped himself in the shit over. But that's not even the best part. I say the game costs $70, and that's, well, it's not a lie, but it depends which version of the game you buy, doesn't it? Because there's never just one version of a new game. The standard edition does cost $70, and with the standard edition, you get the game. There's also a deluxe edition and a super deluxe edition. So you can spend $70 or £60 or €70 on the base edition and just get the game, or you can get the deluxe edition, which will set you back $100 or £90 or €100, or the super deluxe edition, which is $130 or £120 or €130. and get some pointless shit that honestly isn't worth the pixels it's printed on. But it gets worse. There's also a collector's edition, which will set you back $150. And I swear I am not making this up. It sounds unbelievable, but don't take my word for it. Go ahead and Google it. The Borderlands 4 Collector's Edition costs $150, and your $150, which, by the way, Randy Pitchford is on record as saying that this edition is, and I'm quoting, "it's pretty rad and will probably sell out, so grab it if you're into it." Your $150 gets you a cloth map, an 8-inch tall Echo 4 figure, some art prints, a Vault symbol necklace, and some in-game shift code cards. But you know what it does not get you? It doesn't get you the game. It's a $150 edition of the game that doesn't include the game or any of the DLC that you get in the Deluxe and Super Deluxe editions. So if you want to get the Collector's Edition and actually play the game, it's going to cost you at least $220. And that won't include any of the DLC. You're basically paying $150 for a map and an action figure. Oh, and a necklace. Oh, there you go. It's worth it then. Remember, according to Randy, it's pretty rad. It's probably going to sell out, so you should get it if you're into it. Or, just don't. I'm going to go with just don't. Sorry, Randy. You're going to have to try harder than that. So, yeah, on that bombshell, actually, there is one other thing that I do need to talk about before we're done. This came in via one of my Discord mods, literally at the last moment. I almost forgot to include it. We've talked about these guys before, Driving Ukraine. Steve, Mark, and Beth. They buy four-wheel drive vehicles here in the UK. They convert them to combat ambulances, and then they drive and deliver them to Ukraine, where they're used for humanitarian purposes. They're doing it again, and they could always use our help. So link in the video description. And on that bombshell, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.